The Fall Line is a true crime podcast covering the coldest cases in the southeastern United States and occasionally beyond. We focus on the missing persons, the unsolved murders, and the unidentified does that don't get media attention. Empathetic and intensively researched, The Fall Line will take you on deep dives into unsolved cases that you've never heard of and make you wonder why you haven't. Find us wherever you listen to podcasts.
Don't let your decision paralysis demon keep you from watching something great this weekend. Subscribe to ScreamShare, the newsletter that serves up a 5-minute breakdown of the best horror available on streaming. I'll have essential weekly movie picks covering new films, classics that you need to catch up on, and a movie that's always streaming for free. So subscribe now, and you can even be a part of some frighteningly fun watch parties we're putting together that'll let you be a part of the conversation. So click in the link in the show notes or go to screamshare.beehive.com. That's screamshare.beehive.com, and make sure you whitelist your welcome email so you can get updates for all of the news and updates. And now the body count continues. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, die-in time is here. That's right, we're talking about 2019's Ready or Not on Kill by Kill. Well, greetings and salutations, Internet. It's your old pal, Patrick Hamilton, coming to you once again from a palatial manse. This is the Kill by Kill podcast, where we're dedicated to celebrating the least discussed component of any horror film, the characters. And today we're going to unpack all the goriest of details of the original Ready or Not, in the hopes that a domestic's untimely end is just the beginning of the jokes we might make at their expense. And as always, there's only one person I trust to make sure to shoot for the center mass. The one, the only, Gina Radcliffe. How are you doing today, Gina?
I just want to get this out of the way.
Sure.
If you invite me to your house with your entire family, and I am the only one there that isn't a member of the family, and you're like, let's play a game. You draw this card. I'm like, I'm going to go to the bathroom. You guys have fun with that.
Yes. What is interesting about this movie is that it's very character-based, right? The decisions made here by these characters are interesting, and what I find compelling about it is that this is a scenario that's happened. Like we've covered, The Legacy is vaguely like this. I mean, it's not nearly as fun in the intentional way that this is fun. It's fun in the, do you want to watch the lead singer of The Who die by chicken bone? That's a different kind of watching experience. And I enjoy that watching experience. Don't get me wrong. I think this shares a weird amount of DNA with that movie. But what I think the pleasures of it is that every single performer in this movie has made a distinct character choice. And so therefore, as they work as a cog within the wheel of the plot, what I get to enjoy is them, exerting those choices along the way in action as things move along. There's not a lot of like, well, I have to do this outside of the fact that our poor bride is, she's kind of condemned to just making nice with this family. And if this is a family tradition, of course I'm going to do it.
Right. She's initially eager to please them.
And, initially eager to please them because she has a desire for a real family. Now, is that somewhat undone by the fact that she has a sister that she doesn't talk about who shows up in the second movie? I guess to a degree, but also I don't care.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's how horror movies retcon their lore. That's pretty low on the get the fuck out of here scale.
Yeah, I mean, listen, as a Friday the 13th fan, the franchise is broken from the second movie going forward.
Yeah, I was thinking more of Halloween, but same diff, I mean.
Yes. It's just they make the craziest decisions because these things are really closed loops and probably better off as. But there's also the tradition of just like you painted yourself into a corner. Now, yes, you're going to have to walk through some paint to keep the job going, but eventually it'll be worth covering up those footprints, let's say.
Right. And of course, the main plot of Ready or Not 2 is there's more of these people.
Well, we do get a hint at that because our patriarch here, Tony Lidomall, he does hint that another family has suffered the same fate. And someone goes, well, I just thought they died in a house fire. And it's like, no, that's what they wanted you to know. And so it's kind of set up that they're part of a network because they've reached an echelon of wealth that connects them to other people who've made a deal with the devil.
Which is timely in this. I mean, this movie was 2019, but and again, I make it sound like 2019 was so long ago. That's because it is.
Right. Yeah.
But it's still like this like overlaps to two of my favorite genres, and that is the occult and rich people getting their shit jacked up. and this hits both those buttons nicely for me.
Yes, I agree with you. There's a lot here that just taps into, and in 2019, even it was on that precipice of where now I feel like there's a lot of studios who are sort of guillotine washing the eat the rich aesthetic, the undercurrent that is very real in society. And they're like, would you settle for watching it in the movies?
Right.
Will you be placated by this kind of bread and circuses? And it's like, well, yes, this indulges a fantasy to a certain degree, but also it is continuously giving a voice to a real feeling amongst the populace that a level of wealth disparity has simply gone completely off the rails.
Right. Like this came out during the same period as Triangle of Sadness, which was not a horror movie, granted.
Right.
The Menu, which I do was probably a favorite of mine in that particular genre. And none of these movies are ever vague about the fact that these people deserve this. There is like no there's no like gray area. These are all awful people. The audience is supposed to enjoy seeing what happens to them, and we do.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's very enjoyable because I think these performers are just pouring themselves into these roles, and they're very interesting deep down. You have this patriarch who talks a big game, but there's very little under the surface. He's like, if we're talking Succession means, he is the type of person who would say that the rest of his family, that they're just not serious people. But it also turns out he too is not serious people.
No, he was born on third base, as the saying goes.
Right. You have Andie MacDowell, who I think is, obviously, she's very dedicated to this family, and the sort of family element of it is deeper with her because she's a semi-outsider. She is probably the most human person within the elder set of the family, but also completely corrupted by the amount of money she has access to.
Well, I feel like that she's probably survived this trial by fire, as it were, and it makes her both sort of empathetic, but also at the same time very hardened to it as well.
Yes. And I think the other dynamic that I really enjoy about this is that the most human of the younger generation is Adam Brody's Daniel, right? He's entirely destroyed by what he's a part of. And he doesn't want to participate, but he knows he has no choice. He's locked into this. He doesn't have he can't really walk away, even though part of him feels that it's kind of bullshit, but he's too afraid to wonder because he has seen them willing to kill somebody to keep this going. And so
Daniel is who people who liberals swore up and down that Barron Trump was going to turn out to be. He was going to be the good one.
Right. But the good one here is
actually the good one.
Right. I mean, he is willing at a certain point to just stand up and sacrifice himself and put himself in harm's way for an innocent person. And his wife is like, no, I'm in for a penny, in for a pound, and I want my pound. And so Charity is willing to go above and beyond to keep this going. She is very much akin to this lifestyle. As she says at one point, she has at least been some level. She's not been rich before this. And whatever level of poor she was enough to make her an achiever. And she has achieved what she wanted to. And if that requires a small bargain with the devil, well, that's simply the price you pay. And between her and Fitch, who's useless. I mean, I love Christian Brun. I think he's a fantastic actor. I love him here. He completely embodies someone you can't stand. And this family has to endure him. But I know how he weaseled his way in. Yeah,
this movie shares a lot of DNA with You're Next, in which you've got this, very, very independent woman who meets her boyfriends. I don't think they were married yet in that one, but it's her boyfriend's just absolutely insufferable family. Yeah. But they're all insufferable in different ways.
I mean, they are really of a piece. Oh my God, we got to do You're Next. We have to do.
I'm shocked that we haven't yet.
I know. It's just one of those things. Like once we pull the trigger, I know we're never going to do it again. It's a morsel I savor, but it's amazing how much they are of a piece with one another, but are different, because you can almost like tack on the Adam Brody character to You're Next, only he's the worst villain in that movie. So they really did find a way to tell a similar story in a completely different manner that's just as entertaining. Like, what a great 1-2 punch these two would be. Let me program your movie theaters, everybody. Let's do this. It's Kill by Kill night, and it's You're Next and Ready or Not back to back.
Do it.
What I think Becky really likes about Grace is that she sees that she's a genuinely nice person. She sees that even though Alex has been reticent to be part of the family, that Grace is like, no, if we're going to be married, like I want to at least know your family. They want to host this wedding, then let them. Let's do that. Or we can run away and get married somewhere else. But if that's the deal, like, I kind of want to be a part of a family. And I think Becky feels that genuineness, and she certainly isn't getting it from anyone else who's joined the family, because I wouldn't call Charity or Fitch the additions to the family that you're like, oh, thank goodness they're here. Not unless you want to make sure that someone is holding Adderall. Then you're like, thank God Fitch is here.
Yeah, there's always that, the members of your family, usually the extended family, where like, if your partner or spouse says, oh, we've been invited to Mom's Thanksgiving, it's like, is such and such going to be there? Yes. Oh God. It's like everybody has that one person. It's just, it's inevitable. It's a part of life.
I really do like that they're willing. I guess this is, in a way, a very indulgent thing for an actor, because here you get the sort of Friday the 13th, once it starts to sour feeling of, here's a bunch of the worst people and you're going to enjoy them getting it.
Right.
It's just that they don't get it one by one. They predominantly survive until the very end, and then, spoiler alert, they all explode.
Yeah, I don't know. Did you know that was going to happen? Because I think I saw this a weeknight after the opening weekend, and I did not expect that ending.
No, I had no clue that that's the way it was going to go. I assumed it would go more along the line of a You're Next, where she would, by hook or by crook, just take down the family by accident on purpose. All right, I'm just going to become a cold-blooded murderer because I have to, sort of, levels of contrition where she would just have to level up along the way to outlast this family. This movie really, the first time, completely defied a lot of my expectations as to how the plot would unfold. And what I enjoyed so much about watching it the past couple times I had is that it's just such a wonderful character piece that I enjoy the fact that the vast majority of this family survives until the very end, because I love watching the next level of horrible that they get to.
The Fall Line is a true crime podcast covering the coldest cases in the southeastern United States and occasionally beyond. We focus on the missing persons, the unsolved murders, and the unidentified does that don't get media attention. Empathetic and intensively researched, The Fall Line will take you on deep dives into unsolved cases that you've never heard of and make you wonder why you haven't. Find us wherever you listen to podcasts.
Yeah, it's like, well, surely they're not going to let down their veils of propriety. And it's like, no, they do. know, it's like they become bloodthirsty.
And inherently, that bloodlust, that bloodthirst is entirely driven by these capitalistic aims. And as such, the sort of Satan worship of it all, it's just kind of the icing on the cake. It is a little bit of sugar to help the medicine go down, because what they love is not the Satan worship. Well, Helene might love the Satan worship. I think that is if we're talking about performances in this movie, I think a little undersung of how insanely intense Helene is throughout this, to the point where the camera will just find her and it's an immediate laugh. Like, she's so fucking good. Why isn't she in everything?
Yeah, no, she's, I think that, a lot of the family members, at this point have just sort of accepted that this is what they have to do to remain in their, their very, very comfortable surroundings. Helene actually is enjoying it.
I think there was a part of her that, suffered. The only man that she ever loved, she has to sacrifice on her wedding night, and she calcifies into the person who's willing to do that. She, at a point here, voices her regret of not sacrificing him herself at that moment in time. And I think she's like driven by this mania to prove her worthiness, that she is, in essence, the proper head of the family because she's the true believer, whereas Dad, well, not so much. It's a little debatable how hardcore Tony is, other than the fact that he knows he has to do this. He's driven by not desire, but absolute need.
Well, yeah. And again, for coming out in 2019, you're rewatching it now. It's a little disturbing. I mean, not to get all political again, which we have been a lot recently because it's unavoidable.
Yeah.
We are recording this the day after, if you're old, the irony of that.
Yeah.
In which our president at the last minute capitulated on a threat to quote unquote end an entire civilization.
Just the words people say because, That's what you do. That's what a master negotiator does, is they do something impulsive without seeing the possible ramifications of it. Then when the ramifications happen, they try to weasel out of it. When the ramifications reach a level where the entire world feels them, then decides, well, I'm going to end this, so I'm going to act like a big bad man. And that's a promise you really can't fucking keep, because you can't unpress that fucking button. And you caused all this. This is your fault. Yeah. I mean, yeah. He had help. He got led by the nose into this. But if he had an ounce of self-worth, he would have said, fuck all of that. You're on your own here, pal. I'm not doing that. And if you have any brains and you want money to continue to flow into your country, you will not do that. But he couldn't fucking stand up to it because he's led by the goddamn nose. Again, hate to say it, but anyone who ran against him said he absolutely is. I don't know why people choose to forget it when they enter the fucking voting booth, but boy, do they ever.
Well, yeah, the thing is that all this suffering and all this division, it's all for the sake of people getting richer. And so I have to say, for people who think it's implausible that people would more or less sell their soul to the devil and, you know, have to engage in a little human sacrifice every now and then to you maintain their standard of living, all I have to say is pick up a goddamn newspaper and see what people are willing to do to both get rich and stay rich. Because you would think surely you could. There's a point where you have enough money. Evidently not.
There really isn't. And the allure of the possibility that you might achieve that level of richness is so intoxicating that people will absolutely do the worst things possible and completely fuck themselves over the long haul in the hopes that once they're simply not limited. They can just hoover up all the cash they possibly can within that wonderful grace period that they're allowed. As if you simply win a game show and then you get this amount of money and it's just easy street from that moment on. There is no easy street. The easy street is once you're there, doing everything, just sacrificing a portion of this to keep everyone else as an underclass. We are absolutely driving ourselves into a class system here. And we have to get past all this other bullshit that is constantly thrown our way. And ultimately, you see multiple examples of that because this family has always done this. And Alex kind of states this out loud. If you see your family do something long enough, it must be right? Because why else would you be a witness to it? Why else would they do it? If your mother and her father are participating in human sacrifice and you grow up watching that, well, I guess that's what we do. That's just got to be okay, right?
Yeah, he's got a sort of certain, that's just how we do things, passivity about things, which is maddening in its own way.
And there is a part of him that obviously was not okay with this. He wanted to be as far away from it as he possibly could. Did not want to be a part of the family, did not want to talk to the family. But there's also a thread with him where he's given an excuse. Like he could have said, you know what? I love you and everything. And if marriage is a thing, that's not something I can do. I simply cannot get married. And I wish I could tell you all the reasons why, but I will do everything but that.
Alex needed to know that the concept of going no contact existed.
Yes. There's a part of him that feels that allure, that pull, and is afraid of what will happen to him when he completely cuts himself off. The potential of what his life might be, the access that he will lose, He's not willing to do it.
Yeah, no. And that's why, none of these people of these rich families is going to come along and save democracy or anything.
No, it's not financially worth it for them. What they wouldn't mind is if it was under the guise of something that was a little more fair. But they absolutely don't want a different system because a different system would cost them something. And what if it costs them too much? What if that is the percentage they absolutely need? And there's a sort of, we are all surrounded by it, right? A level of doomerism,
of course,
on whatever social feed you happen to employ or just in the world in general. And I think that doomerism does extend to people who are just wealthy beyond any capacity to really rationally put it together. And that extends to, hey, guess the world is ending? I better start amassing a private army. I better have private army and island money. Right.
Because when the unwashed masses rise up, they might turn on me. Well, yeah. Probably, yeah.
Probably. Like, that's how that shit goes. There's not a lot of history to prove otherwise. And also, I don't know how much money it is worth for the private army guys. Like, we've obviously seen, as of late, like those with the least capacity to be able to be evil foot soldiers are very willing to sign up for it. And guess what? They fucking suck at it. They really haven't felt a ton of pressure, that crew. Not that I'm calling for it personally, but if that's whom you're going to hire, like, I don't know that there's enough private army dudes that you can bring on board that are really going to make this fly long haul. This is just not worth it. Whereas if you just didn't have as much money and we all worked together, like, we could really turn some shit around. It happens a lot. It just does. But they're too fucking hooked on doom to possibly consider that as a rational thing. They've all talked themselves into, no, we just gotta go to hell. It just has to happen. We have to make Skynet, everyone. It just looks too cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we have to create a computer program that tells men how to change a diaper.
As someone who did it for a fair amount of time, not that difficult, everyone.
It really isn't. I mean, like someone can show you, hands-on, another human being can show you how to change a diaper. Someone can show you how to cook a pot of spaghetti. You don't, but there's also a certain sort of pride in, this sort of false independence where you don't need other people. You have a computer to help you with this. And that's the most depressing shit I can think of my entire life, but we are definitely getting off track here. But I mean, are we though? I mean, like,
I don't know.
It hits a lot of those, checkpoints, the sense of entitlement, the sense of, well, these people, yeah, she's nice and all, but, she's not like the rest of us. So,
right.
Kind of, turn your mind off to the fact that she's a human being and think of her more as a means to an end. Yes. Think of her like an NPC, which is something that people on the internet like to refer to people they think of as beneath them, like the poor and, brown people and queer people and women, so it's like, right. That you, for whatever reason, this person you perceive as so beneath you, even if you might be a basement dweller with Cheeto dust covering your entire lower half of your body, you don't even think of them as a real person. They're just somebody that gets in your way. Yeah. And that's what she is to them. But, they make nice. If she hadn't pulled that card, she probably would have been welcomed with open arms. And, she's beautiful. She's plucky. She's smart. Alex seems to genuinely love her. So she's great up until she pulls that card. Then she's, another one to add to the trophy case.
But don't you feel that deep down, The reason why she pulls that card is because she won't fit in. There's a part of her that has an inherent decency.
Right. She would never go along with this. Even if she quote unquote won the game, she would never go along with continuing to play it.
No. And, the quote unquote death that she does have a legitimate hand in is completely passive. It is a rejection of this marriage, not a you deserve to die.
Right. But also,
I don't want to be a part of this.
Right. How can you go on with someone after that?
How could you possibly have me look past you plunging a knife into me? That's just not something that's going to, I get to be rich, but we're all going to have to continue to be subservient to this French Satan.
Yeah. And I could be rich, but it means, having to repeatedly give up a piece of my soul and a piece of my humanity.
Which is why I feel like Charity and Fitch did not get hide and seek, because they're the right kind of awful to fit in here. They're motivated to, while they're not effective, they are willing to try to murder an innocent person. They happen to be bad at it, as they happen to be bad at almost everything else in their lives. But it's that willingness to be awful that has allowed them entry into the Damas family, the clan. And Grace was never going to be that. So as soon as she stepped in that door, that was the card she was going to pull.
Right.
And whether or not that family survives is really whether or not they have done any form of preparation to actually do what they've been called upon to do. And I don't think it's a mistake that the domestics of the household, the nannies and the butler, are the first people to go. Because
of course not.
They are sacrificed. Like, that's what your job is. Your job is to make my life easier. And if that means that you get torn asunder or you got shot in the face, you take an arrow through the throat. Whoopsie doodle. That shit just happens.
Yeah, that's the employee. They're used to the high employee turnover rate at that household.
Well, I think it takes a certain type of person to probably make it in that sort of demand. And certain people don't. Like, I think it attracts a person who's willing to do something that's probably beyond the bounds. I think there's a reason why the first girl who gets killed is every person's favorite.
Right.
She probably provided something to them in some way, shape, or form that they weren't getting otherwise. And we're not told what that is. We have to let our minds wander. But maybe she was just the nicest amongst them, is the other possibility.
Yeah, it could be just that simple.
Yeah. Yeah. What a motion picture. It's kind of crazy to me, like how weirdly deep the movie is on a character level. And I kind of remembered it from the first time watching it as pretty nonstop. But it's not really what I would call, I don't think this has more action in it than Abigail, which it also is a movie it shares, obviously, because it shares the same creative team. But it does share a lot of DNA with, as far as they're not flip sides of the same coin, but they're definitely the same cards in the same deck.
Yeah, I would say so.
because obviously that is a very character heavy piece. And it has a supernatural element. It's heavier handed supernatural element, but it's also all taking place in one giant super mansion. Like there's just a lot that I don't know. Is that part of the reason why people like didn't run to Abigail? I know they gave it the excuse of, you told me that little girl is a vampire, but they told you that Grace is going to get hunted by this family in the trailer for this, and you still showed up to watch it.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure. But I will say that now you have me thinking that the only thing that Ready or Not lacks is the presence of Dan Stevens doing a funny accent.
This is absolutely true. And I don't know whether or not he shows up for Ready or Not 2. I have yet to be able to watch it because thankfully I have been working nonstop. Something we would like to continue. We want it to be a problem that I can get to the movie theater because I don't have extra time. As opposed to I can't go to the theater because I don't have money. Let's make it the first, not the latter.
Yes.
But some other people from Abigail do show up in Ready or Not too. And the Radio Silence guys have said that in their minds, this is the same universe. So within this universe, it is pretty much established that if you have achieved a level of financial sort of, let's say, over superiority, is because you have made a supernatural pact. But at the end of the day, that supernatural pact may be to vampirism and may be to, Mr. LaBelle, but it's really just to money. It's just money.
Yeah, I mean, the details of how you got the money are irrelevant.
And power, right? I think Abigail, you get a little bit more of the power aspect because obviously once you become a vampire there, you feel that rush of what you can accomplish as a vampire and, drinking blood be rad once you're in the fold.
Oh yeah.
But here, the powers experience more outside of the realm of the plot of the movie.
I don't actually know what these people pass themselves off as having done to earn their money. They're just rich.
They earned enough money in one realm to then take that to other realms where now I know that they talk about at one point the sort of the game empire then became them owning sports teams, and they own like 4 sports teams, and that includes real estate. So now there's all these holdings and this generational wealth to it all. And it's a giant perpetual money machine on top of investment, right? So that goes, every deal comes their way because they have someone who's tipping the scales in their favor. All they have to do is occasionally sacrifice someone who's new to the family because somewhere along the lines, you're just gonna, be attracted to somebody who's not willing to sacrifice a human being. And that means they got to go.
Just a little, detail that you work past. When you think about, maybe I could buy a 12th car. Do I need 12 cars? Yes, I need 12 cars.
And like you can obviously tell that the toll wears on people in different ways. For Adam Brody's Daniel, he's just broken as far as the eye can see. He does not want to participate on any level. He's very disappointed with having passively allowed himself to continue doing this and reaches a legitimate soul. He takes his soul back. And that's worth celebrating. But that's not to say that Emily isn't the same level of broken. She just wears it a little bit better. I mean, she's not the obvious drunk that Daniel is, but she is an obvious cocaine user. She is She's using a cocktail of chemicals to keep herself moving forward. Her just keep swimming mantra involves doing bumps.
Well, whatever you got to do, I mean.
And she's aptly abled by Fitch, who I don't think has any other skills other than probably procuring drugs and alcohol and, engaging in glad handing with other degenerates. Like he works a degenerate room probably pretty well. No one's happy that he's there until they hit the bathroom later on, and then they're thrilled.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, these were all like just useless people with too much money. Yeah. And those, more than anything else, more than any, monster or masked killer, are the scariest individuals to have to confront. Right. Because at least a monster and a masked killer have an excuse for not having a soul.
The Fall Line is a true crime podcast covering the coldest cases in the southeastern United States and occasionally beyond. We focus on the missing persons, the unsolved murders, and the unidentified does that don't get media attention. Empathetic and intensively researched, The Fall Line will take you on deep dives into unsolved cases that you've never heard of and make you wonder why you haven't. Find us wherever you listen to podcasts.
Like, oh, it's a shame that Jason Voorhees turned out the way he did. I don't really know that that's still Jason Voorhees. He's just like a death curse, right? In a shell.
He's like a shambling corpse being controlled by supernatural forces.
Yes. And, Michael Myers is the embodiment of an undiscussed evil. He's a curse on that town. And for whatever reason, he's just not going to stop until you put him in a giant grinder machine. Which is a thing that happens.
And I'm quite certain any day now it's going to be announced that he somehow managed to knit himself back together and is ready to start killing again.
Yeah. I think yes. I mean, they halfway tried to Jason Goes to Hell him. And again, I'm not saying that's the worst idea. I'm not saying it was the best application of that idea. And I feel like I don't know that we need to relitigate that movie again beyond our commentary on it. But honestly, I think it's that it feels like the filmmakers are pointing a finger at me and laughing. That's the vibe I got.
Yeah, and
they resented the fact that they had decided to make these movies.
You know how I feel about horror filmmakers indicting horror film fans.
Fans, yeah.
Like I could be making art instead of making this bullshit for you creeps.
Like you're not forced to do this. Like you can find a horror movie or plot or script or property that does engage your mind. But it really felt like they had just been run through the ringer. Just like kind of pissed off that first one had worked on a certain level, came up with 2 halfway good ideas for sequels. And then even though they got an extended period of time to work on them because of COVID, just started to resent it more and more and more until it became a filmed sneer at me. Like, are you proud of what you made me do? Like rubbing my nose in it is right. The undercurrent there. It's not to say there aren't swings that I like about it, but I don't feel like they pay off. And I ultimately, when it comes down to it, I think he soured so much on the experience that he couldn't do it anymore. And that Exorcist movie that he made, Gina Radcliffe, when I tell you, that is free and available to me. And I was like, you know what? I have Peacock for a song for whatever reason. Every time I tell them I'm done, they're like, how about we cut it in half? I'm like, okay, sure. I'll continue to watch Saturday Night Live for a cheap price. And then I get the bonus of these other weird misses. And that Believer movie is Halloween Kills calcified. It really feels like, why are you making me do this? I'm like, baby, I'm not in charge of you. You have agency. I'm becoming Jamel Bowie at these motherfuckers. You have agency.
You have a series of remakes of iconic movies made by people who don't like horror movies. Yeah. And it's like, why? Did you need to do this?
You didn't. And you certainly aren't making it fun for me. That's not a good time. So why are we going through the motions here? You're not having fun, and it's coming across, and you don't have ideas. I think that's the other thing is like there are all these half ideas, whereas I think the Vanderbilt and Busick writers and the Radio Silence filmmakers absolutely do have an idea of what they want to accomplish here and what they want to accomplish in Abigail and what they want to accomplish in Scream 5, which I found pretty damn successful, which is a fucking miracle because we've seen Scream movies that don't work. And maybe there's one that just was released a little while ago. I wouldn't know. I haven't watched it. And you know what? No one said anything that has made me think to myself, am I missing out on something? Not a single one, not a single comment has made me think, was I wrong about that? Nope. Sounds like I was right. I'm not happy that I was right, but it turns out I was right.
Yep. Nope. I've had a couple people message me and say, I saw Scream 7. It sucked. I'm like, well, I'm sorry you wasted your time.
Yeah, it's wild, man. I'm really okay. Maybe down the line, we'll get to it because we can, and there'll be I don't feel the need to hype it. We've given our reasons and we've justified it. Yeah. Anyways, is there anything else we need to say about 2019's Ready or Not?
It's a lot of fun. It's I'd say that it's very relevant to the times that we are living in, but it's also a lot of fun too.
Yes.
So if you, like I said, if you like me, just like seeing rich people be dispatched of in a number of ways, I mean, this will definitely scratch that itch for you.
But it's also just fun on a pure character level.
Yeah. Yeah,
like
Patrick made a lot of good points about how, yes, these people are all in on this, but you can see some reservations and, regret and resignation, under the surface, but they're all just kind of going along to get along because they know, as is usually the case with soulless people, that if they back off or disagree, everybody's going to turn on them.
Yes. And they cannot handle that heat. They are not built for it.
No, it's a matter of self-preservation.
They're barely built for what they're doing. And it turns out they were not built for it in the long haul.
Right.
It's funny and everyone's making such good character choices. And like, I'm not Andie MacDowell's biggest fan. Like there's things I've liked her in, but I'll be honest with you. I think this is my favorite Andie MacDowell performance. I think this is fucking revelatory. There are levels to her here that you don't see other places because she hasn't been given this specific opportunity. Through much of her career, she was this ingenue. She was like, oh my God, can you believe someone is so attractive and has that hair? Like she's great in things, but I think she's fantastic here. Henry Sarsney has been fantastic in a great many things. And he's just allowed to go ham in this role and be both domineering and useless at the same time. And you just get all these people sort of competing for who can be the biggest fatuous dolt in the room at any given moment. That's a lot of fun to watch.
I love Henry Czerny because he looks like you would never see him playing a farmer. He just has this, kind of, air of rich, out of touch, aging man about him.
Yeah. It just works in so many respects. Like Melanie Scrofano, she's been in a bunch of like sci-fi shows that not science fiction, the channel sci-fi. She's currently on Revival, and she's very good. I'm not a zombie guy, but I would co-sign Revival, another thing that came up on Peacock. And then she was, what was the other one that she was in? The Winona Earp, which is a show I didn't think I was like. Didn't think I would like. And then, nope, I kind of love this movie or this show. It is insane. She's also good in Letterkenny. There's a lot to fucking like here. Like Adam Brody is such a mirror image of what he does in his brief role in Jennifer's Body here. And considering he got famous being the sort of, dorky son of a rich family on the OC.
Right.
A show I watched every episode of because I had to write promos for it, but also learned to like a lot. Not afraid to admit it. Christian Brun, huge fan. Like there's a lot to like here. And it's done with a level of panache that's very enjoyable. I understand why they went back to this. I would assume I would find more of the same. I don't know that you can make it better, but I would be happy with more of the same.
Yeah.
That being said, how about more of the same when it comes to choosing your own death venture at the end of this episode? That is, of course, when we decide of the deaths portrayed in Ready or Not. Which one would you choose and why? Of course, up for bid today, we have shot in the head with a handgun, shot through the head with a crossbow, later beheaded with an axe. Then you can be killed when your torso is ripped in half by a dumbwaiter. You can get your face boiled a little bit and then end up just dying in a car crash. You can get shot in the neck with a gun and bleed to death. You can get beaten to death with a decorative box, or you blow up real good in the bloodiest fashion possible. It's the anti-Buffy. Those vampires get dusted. These are blood explosions. What say you, Gina?
Well, I'm sure you would think that I would choose the blood explosion because it's the quickest.
Yeah, that's what I assumed.
But I actually enjoy a good crossbow death.
Oh, okay.
So I think I'm going to take crossbow to the head.
Okay. All right. Even though you're around for a minute before
yeah, but
before Emily takes you out.
I'm probably not too like you aware at that point. So
you think maybe your consciousness is like, we're going to check out now.
That's pretty much. Like, good
it's
night.
A meat bag.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to go explosion because, I don't know, seems fun. You're out in a whiff. Of course, I have to sell my soul to get to that point, but haven't we all sold our soul to rock and roll in some way, shape, or form?
We sold our souls to Lady Podcast.
That's right. Oh my goodness. We should get a lot more out of it, Gina. That's what all I'm saying.
We should.
Lady Podcast owes us a huge debt, is what this comes down to. But of course, we're repaid with gratitude and warmth from our beloved audience, who of course have rated and reviewed us on iTunes or talked back to us by emailing us at killbykillpod@gmail.com or subscribed on YouTube and talk to us there, or Spotify. You could go to our t-shirt shop. The link is in the below. You can seek us out on the various socials. And I, of course, have my newsletter at screamshare.beehive, BEEHIIV.com. And there, every single weekend, I'm going to give you 3 streaming recs, new, classic, and free to you. And oh my goodness. Well, this will be come out weeks. But Gina, I found a movie that would turn your hair white. It is It might not be good, but it might be the greatest. Just a little hint. You're not told that the Loch Ness Monster is involved. Turns out it is. Is it in Loch Ness? No, it is not. It is in the California mountain town, but it's still there. Oh my God. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. Gina, where can people find you on these here internets?
I write about movies and television and pop culture at my newsletter, GinaWatchesThings.ghost.io, and I am predominantly on Instagram under Gina Does Things.
Do it today, people. Check it out. Don't worry, folks. The body count will continue for myself and for Gina. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
They're all gonna laugh at you.
Hi, this is Alex Kantrowitz. I'm the host of Big Technology Podcast, a longtime reporter and an on-air contributor to CNBC. And if you're like me, you're trying to figure out how artificial intelligence is changing the business world and our lives. So each week on Big Technology, I bring on key actors from companies building AI tech and outsiders trying to influence it, asking where this is all going. They come from places like NVIDIA, Microsoft, Amazon, and plenty more. So if you want to be smart with your wallet, your career choices, in meetings with your colleagues, and at dinner parties, listen to Big Technology Podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.